The theater lights dimmed, and a hush swept across the massive, America's Got Talent, stage. The crowd's roar softened into curious whispers. Somewhere backstage, a 10-year-old Filipino boy named Liam Santos clutched his mother's trembling hand, his heart pounding against his small chest. It was his first time in America. His first time seeing so many cameras. His first time standing where stars had been born. But tonight, it wasn't about fame. It was about a promise. "Do it for Papa, Anak," his mother whispered in Tagalog, pressing a worn-out photo of a smiling man in a white naval uniform into his palm. "He's listening." Liam nodded. His father, once a Navy musician in the Philippines, had been killed 2 years ago during a rescue operation after a devastating typhoon. He had taught Liam every song Elvis Presley ever sang, from Can't Help Falling in Love to Suspicious Minds. And tonight, Liam would sing for him. The stagehand's voice echoed, "Next contestant, Liam Santos from the Philippines." The boy stepped out, his small frame nearly swallowed by the enormity of the AGT stage. His black hair glistened under the spotlights, and his nervous eyes darted toward the judges' table. There they were. Simon Cowell, his famous hand resting against his face, looked at the boy with quiet curiosity. Beside him sat Sofia Vergara, smiling warmly, and Howie Mandel, leaning forward in interest. Heidi Klum gave an encouraging thumbs up. The crowd murmured, some amused, some surprised. A little Filipino kid, Elvis, what could he possibly do? Simon leaned toward his mic. "Hello there, young man. What's your name?" Liam swallowed. My name is Liam, sir. I'm from the Philippines." "Wow," Sophia said, "you came all the way here for this audition?" "Yes, ma'am," Liam replied, his accent soft but clear. "Me and my mom saved for 2 years so I could sing here." That caught Simon's attention. 2 years, that's dedication. Liam nodded. "My dad loved Elvis. He used to sing for the sailors on the ship. When he went away, I told myself I'll sing for him one day on a big stage." The audience grew still. Even Simon's usual sharp expression softened. He tilted his head. "And what song are you going to sing for us today?" Liam smiled gently. "Can't Help Falling in Love, Elvis Presley." Simon raised a brow. "That's a big one. Elvis isn't easy." Liam gripped the microphone, his tiny fingers trembling. "I know, sir. But my papa said, if I sing from my heart, even Elvis will listen." The music started. Soft, familiar, tender. The first notes rippled through the hall like an echo from another time. Liam closed his eyes. And then, he began. Musical note, wise men say, only fools rush in. Musical note. The first words were soft, fragile, like a whisper carried by the wind. But as he moved through the melody, something happened. His voice, clear, warm, and unbelievably soulful, began to fill the air. The tone was pure Elvis, not imitation, but incarnation. That deep, velvety nostalgia mixed with a sweetness that only a child's voice could bring. The audience's murmurs vanished. Heidi's lips parted. Sophia put her hand on her chest. By the time he reached the second line, his tone had grown, like a rising tide. Every vowel curved perfectly, every note carried emotion so raw it pierced through the air. Musical note, but I can't help falling in love with you. Musical note. The orchestra behind him swelled. The giant LED screen shimmered with soft gold. Simon leaned back, his eyes narrowing, not in skepticism, but disbelief. The boy's small frame belted a tone that felt like it came from decades of soul and loss. His voice cracked slightly, just enough to make it real. The kind of imperfection that turned a song into a story. As he reached the chorus, Liam opened his eyes. Tears glistened under the spotlights. His gaze turned upward, as if he could see his father smiling back. Musical note, take my hand, take my whole life too. Musical note. He sang with everything he had. Musical note, for I can't help falling in love with you. Musical note. Silence. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then, thunder. The crowd erupted. People leapt from their seats. Tears streamed down faces in the front row. Simon Cowell sat motionless, his jaw slightly open, his fingers curled near his chin. It wasn't just the performance. It was the story in every note, the way this little boy carried love, loss, and hope in one trembling voice. When the music faded, Liam wiped his tears and whispered, "Thank you, Papa." He bowed deeply, the microphone trembling in his hands. Simon stood up. The audience gasped. Simon never stood first. He clapped slowly, his expression softening into something almost fatherly. "Liam," Simon said into the mic, his voice thick with emotion. That was unbelievable. The crowd roared again. I've heard Elvis impersonations, tributes, and karaoke versions for 30 years, Simon continued, but what you just did, it wasn't imitation. You brought Elvis back, and you made him yours. Liam blinked rapidly, unsure if he heard right. Sophia leaned forward, her voice trembling. You are a little angel, Liam. That was so pure, so beautiful. Your papa would be so proud. Howie added, you made the whole room feel love. You didn't just sing Elvis, you reminded us why Elvis mattered. The crowd cheered louder. Simon smiled faintly, still lost in thought. You know, he said, Elvis once said, truth is like the sun, you can shut it out for a time, but it ain't going away. He pointed at Liam. That's you, you're the truth. And then, he pressed the golden buzzer. The hall exploded. Golden confetti rained down from the ceiling like sunlight. Liam gasped, covering his mouth as his mother ran from backstage, crying uncontrollably. She wrapped her arms around him, both of them laughing and sobbing under the shower of gold. Simon walked up onto the stage. For a long moment, he just looked at the boy, then knelt down. You've got something very few people ever have, Simon said quietly. That light, that sincerity. Never lose it. Liam nodded, still dazed. Thank you, sir. Simon smiled. No, thank you, for reminding me why music still matters. Weeks later, the video of Liam's performance went viral overnight. The Filipino Elvis, that's what the internet called him. Clips of his performance flooded YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Comments poured in from all over the world. Greater than, I cried. That boy sang like he lived the song. Elvis would be proud. That's not just talent, that's spirit. Back in their small rented apartment in Los Angeles, Liam and his mother sat together on the worn couch, watching the video hit 10 million views. His mother smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. You did it, Anik. Liam looked down at the photo of his father, now framed on the table. We did it, Mama. But the story didn't end there. AGT semifinals came, and the world waited to see if lightning could strike twice. This time, Liam chose a song no one expected, If I Can Dream, Elvis's soulful plea for hope. As the orchestra began, the boy stepped into the spotlight, his voice deeper now, his confidence unshakable. The screen behind him lit up with clouds and stars, and his small frame seemed to glow. Musical note, there must be lights burning brighter somewhere, musical note. The audience listened in reverent silence. When he hit the bridge, we're lost in a cloud, with too much rain, his voice broke slightly. The pain, the longing, the belief, it was all there. And then he soared into the final lines. Musical note, while I can dream, please let my dream come true, right now. Musical note. The final note carried through the theater like thunder, echoing off the rafters. People were crying. Even Howie wiped his eyes. When the applause finally died down, Simon stood again, this time without words. He simply gave a small nod, hand over his heart. And that said more than any critique ever could. Finals night. By the time Liam reached the finals, the entire world knew his story. News outlets from Manila to New York covered the journey of the little boy who sang Elvis for his fallen father. He wore a white suit that night, simple, but elegant, like Elvis himself. When the lights dimmed, and his mother whispered a final, good luck, Liam smiled. I'll sing for Papa again. He walked onto the stage, the crowd chanting his name. Cameras flashed. The entire arena glowed with anticipation. The song choice was perfect, The Wonder of You. Musical note, when no one else can understand me, when everything I do is wrong, musical note. He sang with tenderness beyond his years. Every lyric was a message to his father, and maybe, to every person who had ever lost someone but kept their love alive through music. The orchestra swelled, the lights turned gold, and Liam raised his voice one final time. Musical note, you give me hope and consolation, you give me strength to carry on, musical note. By the end, even Simon Cowell had tears glistening in his eyes. The camera zoomed in on him as he whispered, that's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. When the final note faded, there was silence again, the kind that only happens when everyone's hearts have been touched at once. Then, an eruption. The audience rose as one, chanting his name. Liam, Liam, Liam. Confetti fell again, but this time, it wasn't just gold, it was blue and white, the colors of the Philippine flag. Simon, with misty eyes, walked onto the stage once more. Liam, he said softly, Elvis was called the king of rock and roll. But tonight, I think the king just met his prince. The audience roared. Liam bowed deeply, clutching the microphone, whispering through tears, this is for you, Papa. After the show, Liam didn't win the AGT trophy, but he didn't need to. He had already won the world's heart. Within weeks, invitations flooded in. Talk shows, radio interviews, concerts in Las Vegas, even Graceland sent a letter inviting him to perform at an Elvis tribute concert. When he arrived in Memphis, Tennessee, and stood before the gates of Graceland, he felt something electric, like a circle had closed. Standing on the stage inside the Elvis Presley mansion, surrounded by portraits of the king, Liam took a deep breath and sang Love Me Tender. A soft light bathed the room, and for a moment, it felt as though two souls, one from Memphis, one from Manila, were singing together. When the final note faded, the audience of Elvis fans stood and applauded. Many wept, among them, Simon Cowell himself, who had flown in quietly to see him perform again. Afterward, Simon met Liam backstage. Do you realize what you've done, Liam? Simon asked. Liam shook his head shyly. You've reminded people what music is supposed to do, not impress, but move. Simon smiled gently, and Elvis would have loved that. Liam grinned, looking up. Thank you, sir. I just wanted Papa to hear me. Simon placed a hand on his shoulder. He did, Liam. The whole world did. Years later, 10 years passed. The world had changed. New stars had come and gone. But in one quiet house in Quezon City, Philippines, a framed photo still stood by the window, a boy in a white suit, standing beside Simon Cowell, under golden confetti. Now 20 years old, Liam sat on the porch with his guitar, humming softly. Beside him, his mother listened, smiling with pride. He was no longer the trembling boy from AGT, he had become an artist. He toured across Asia, helped rebuild schools in his father's old village, and used his music to raise funds for disaster victims. But every concert, every show, every song, still began the same way. Good evening, everyone. My name is Liam Santos. I'm from the Philippines, and tonight, I want to sing something my papa taught me. And then, with eyes closed and a soft smile, he would strum the first chords of Can't Help Falling in Love. Somewhere in that gentle melody, in the spaces between the words, lived a story that would never die. The story of a boy who sang not to become famous, but to be heard by the person he loved most. And even Simon Cowell, sitting in the audience years later, would whisper to himself, with a proud smile. Greater than, when a Filipino starts singing Elvis, even I can't believe it.